Hello, welcome to another of my pipe smoking videos. Thank you for coming back and joining me. I feel a bit all over the place at the moment because I feel like I've been panicking to get everything ready. If I remember rightly, oh hang on, I need to turn the, I need to just do, oh, sorry, a bit dishevelled. I'm hoping this is going to go nice and smoothly. That was the fridge I just turned off because it makes such a racket. It's a very old fridge. And it hums away, and then when I listen back I think, oh, I didn't hear the hum because I hear it all the time, and you just don't notice. Also, I'm hoping the focus is working as well. The SE is on because, as you know, I have a wood burning stove and I cook all year round on it, apart from those days when I'm not here, of course. Right, it's a pipe smoking video. I got to remember I'm a bit tired today. It's been a funny old day. The last few days has been a bit weird. We've been out and about, Julia and I. We've been looking for land. We've been milking cows. We've been on a farm. We've been travelling a bit. Julia was ill earlier this evening, came from nowhere. So I've been over to help cook the dinner for her boys and be nursemaid for a bit. Then I needed to come back and get my dinner, and I knew I had this to do. But fortunately, Julia's feeling a lot better now. Just needed a hug and some kisses. Anyway, let's get on with today's episode. So I am smoking Harriet pipe. I haven't done that for a while on the show, but I've been enjoying it. Look at that, isn't it so lovely? You've seen it before, of course. If I go into here, it'll go into the dark zone. So, because I have lights that I light up the show with. So I can't tell you how much I really like this pipe. I probably could if I could find the words, but I do like it, and it draws. I mean, part of the appeal is the draw. I think it has to do with the craftsmanship of drilling the holes in the right place, because I've got some Savinelli pipes and a Peterson pipe, and the Peterson pipe was given to me recently. The Savinellis I bought, they're sort of, about, what were they, about £60 each. When I first started out, I've had them and like, oh, they're my best. Oh, they don't draw anything like as good as this. I'm not on commission. I wish I was. So I'm in my Sunday fantasy Thomas Radford. I must buy some more of that. You can still buy it. This is a tin from some years, ancient times, the 70s, I think. I wonder if it was the 70s. Actually, when I think about it, it wasn't the 70s. This I bought when it would be 30 years ago, whatever that is, 90s, the 90s. Anyway, in it, it looks like dog's doings or some bits of old log. Now, these were given to me by my very good friend, Ed Sage. Lovely bloke. He came round and he said, I've got you something to try, Richard. And it did look like he'd just nipped round the local forestry and picked up some peeped, or leaf mould or something, some dead bits of tree. But it is tobacco. I have actually smoked some, but you have to rub it out until it disappears. So, and and I'm sure you may be one of them. People have these leather trays, don't they? I don't know what they're designed originally for. Are they made just for pipe makers? These leather sort of little trays they put on their laps and they rub into them, and all very posh. I can't be bothered with that. So I've got a tin lid. Works just as well. I mean, I usually fumble around and get it on the floor mostly, and then get the vacuum out at some point. But I'm going to take a bit of this. It's very nice, this stuff. I haven't told you what it's called. I can't remember what it's called. It's something bijou. So if you know what that is, something bijou, as far as I remember. He did tell me, Ed, and then I promptly forgot. But it's nice. It's very nice. It's a very dark, it's a sort of very woody feel to it. It is like a flake. Obviously it's a flake. I say it's obvious. It may not be obvious to anybody because you're that much further away than I am, he says, slurring his words. Oh, talking of slurring my words, a few things to talk to you about. There's another bit here. The thing is, I found doing these videos, I don't get through the whole pipe whilst I'm chatting to you because I'm too busy talking and it goes out. And then when I've packed the lights away and the camera away and I've gone upstairs to the little edit suite that I have, that I use, I'm still smoking a pipe, you know, editing the thing, putting the captions on, making the thumbnail, all that sort of nonsense. I shall get some more. I did like Sunday Fantasy. It was very sort of mild, everyday kind of smoke. I don't know what it's in. It says here, premium pipe tobacco, hand blended. Marvellous. And approved by the Pipe Club of London, England. So, yeah, there's a few little bits. There we go. Not so bad. Now, before I light it, I want to tell you a few things, but we always see, I don't know whether you're an avid watcher of Father John. He's become a bit of a regular in my house. I mean, I have been watching him for some time, but since he moved into that beautiful cottage on the side of the Long Mynd in Shropshire, he's and by the way, he's one of the few people I know who doesn't come from Shropshire, who calls Shrewsbury Shrewsbury instead of the very awful vernacular Shrewsbury. And I mean, not that it really matters how you talk about the name of a town, but some people who lived in the town, they call it Shrewsbury. But I used to go out with a woman whose family is very old Shropshire, Salop, and they always call it Shrewsbury. And they say, oh, it's very BBC, isn't it? As you know, the others, and say, oh, it's the posh. It's not posh. That's how they pronounce it. But younger people, it would seem, say Shrewsbury, as if it's named after a shrew, but it isn't. I mean, I know the football team is called the Shrews, but and when you look at the history, I mean, Shrewsbury is a very old word. It goes back to something like Shrubblesbury or something. I did do some research. You know, you look up at the castle, you can't help get the ancient stuff. It's right. It used to be the skirmishes that used to come in across the River Severn from the Welsh skirmishes, and they would border in, and the English would be sort of battered up, or the Normans, I suppose, or the Norman English, or whatever it was, were battened down behind the red brick castle. Very lovely. Anyway, Father John, he's always got a nice bit of alcohol on the go. Now, I don't drink a lot, and I thought, do you know, I'm gonna emulate him by having a beer. Now, this hasn't come from Tuffins or anywhere like this. This has actually been brewed in, I can't remember, Belgium, by a chap who either was in the first three or won, and I'm a bit awful now, who won the Tour de France or was in the Tour de France or had something to do with the Tour de France or one of the big cycle races like that. Well known for a while. I think he had a bit of an accident or something. I can't remember now. I must ask him. Anyway, he had a special brew made up. And this is called Kermis beer from Belgium, in one of those little Belgium things. And so he gave me a couple of crates. I mean, it was over a year ago when I last saw him. I must go back. Lovely. And so I don't drink very often, but if you're there, Paul, thank you very much. I don't think Paul watches this. He smokes a pipe, though, so maybe he does. It'd be lovely to get back in touch with you, Paul. He's just outside Milton Keynes, somewhere in one of the little tiny villages around there. Lovely, lovely chap. Anyway, I've got a little bit left in there. I suppose it should have been in the fridge, I guess, but because if I do have beer, I usually generally have real ales, old-fashioned craft real ales. So I will get the pipe going because there's things to say. Anyway, cheers, everybody. Cheers. Oh, that's lovely. That is lovely. I've got a dark one and a light one. That's lovely. That is, I can tell you, that is, it's bringing a tear to my eyes. I think because I don't drink very regularly, when I do, I really appreciate it. But I also feel the alcohol almost on the first swallow. I am a cheap date. Right, let me get the pipe going. So this is, I don't know who makes this, something bijou. And my very good friend Ed got it from the tobacconist in Reading. I can't remember what it's called. He says it's a great shop. Parking is dreadful. Well, it's Reading, isn't it? Off the M4, about, depending on which part of London you leave, probably from central London, probably about an hour to get out. Oh, excuse me, I'm going to burp now. Anyway, and a great combination of good old Chris Herriot's pipes and some lovely rub it yourself, get rubbing tobacco. Beautiful, beautiful. Do you like my waistcoat? I put this on. It's actually, I put it on because I knew I was going to get baking hot. It's a very lightweight waistcoat, but it's very nice. It's very posh. Bought it second-hand from a second-hand shop. Charity shop. But the reason I mention it is I met somebody in town today. I went for a stroll. You know, I often do, get out of the house and go for a stroll. Unfortunately, as yet, I'm not in the countryside. Julia and I have been looking at land. We're trying to sort of emulate what Father John is doing, really. He's, one step ahead, but we are hopefully close behind if we can just find the land. He tells me there's a monastery for sale. It's a bit out of our price range. Otherwise, we'd snap it up and be his neighbour, which would probably piss him off. Because I'd be out there every morning with a loud hailer going, "Morning, John!" like that, across the way. Or, do you know, actually, if you were a neighbour of somebody who smokes a pipe, you could send pipes, soaks, ruined that joke, didn't you? I only thought of it on the moment. You could send smoke signals to one another, couldn't you? At a pre-arranged spot, you could stand there. There's a great book called Send It by Semaphore. I read that some years ago, and it was about the semaphore that they could get from London a message in about 30 seconds to 2 minutes, depending on what it was, using semaphore boards from one hill to another hill, and on it went. So if everyone was alert and they saw, oh, hang on, through the binocs, across 20 miles, they would see one hill, there was a signal, and they would write it down, the Morse code, whatever, by telegraph, effectively. It was a telegraph thing, and it's doing whatever the sails went in on top of these houses, these towers, and you could send a message down to Admiralty House in London, from Admiralty House in London, right down to Portsmouth, in a matter of 20 seconds to a minute, something like that. And sometimes that's quicker than sending a text message. I mean, think about that. That is an incredible fact. And you didn't need anything to plug in, and batteries and screens and anything like that. You just needed to know your Morse code, or your semaphore code, I suppose it is. It's not really Morse code. I don't think it was Morse code at all. I don't know why I said that. I said it to sound intelligent, you know. Anyway, talking about my waistcoat, the thing I wanted to say was I went into town and somebody said, "Oh, Richard, you always look dapper." They said, "You always look dapper." And I love that word, dapper, although I do associate it with John George Haigh, the acid bath murderer. I don't know if you know him. They hanged him in 1949. But he was known as the dapper man, the little dapper man. Had a little moustache, and I think he might have had a cravat. I'm not sure, or a tie, or a little blazer. Anyway, they said to him at the time he was a dapper man, but he did put people into his big tanks, into his big baths, and using sulfuric acid. He did melt them. Mrs. Durand Deacon was one of them. He lulled her to Leopold Road. I love Leopold Road. I've used the name Leopold Road in a couple of my books. I think it's even in the book I'm writing now, Biggleswick. It's in Crawley in West Sussex, but I just love the name Leopold Road. I do a bit of that. If I've got sort of favourite words or places, I creep them in to my books. They're my own personal Easter egg. People obviously, mostly don't know, but I do that for my own joy. Or names of things that would interest me. So I always think that's quite good. Anyway, so yeah, Mrs. Durand Deacon, she was lured to Crawley, and she was shot in the head and then tipped upside down into this great big, whatever it was, 50-gallon drum full of sulfuric acid. And then he went out and had a meal in town, sort of egg and chips and what have you, and came back, and her body was slowly, and her legs were slowly going down like this until there was just yellow sludge. I mean, he wanted the money. I don't quite remember why he killed her. He thought he got away with it because it was the perfect murder. He thought, well, if there's no body, where are you? Oh, there you are. If there's no body, they can't say there's actually been a murder. But they proved it in the end. I forget his name now. He was the chief forensic officer who was quite renowned in the 1940s and 50s. Can't remember his name. Anyway, they managed to find some gallstones, I think they were, and some dentures, because they didn't melt in sulfuric acid. How about that? Anyway, that wasn't what I wanted to talk about. It's funny how I can sit here and waffle any old rubbish. I hope you're enjoying it. That is very nice beer, and I can't advise you where to go and get it because it was a private brewing session for this cyclist chap. Yes, the thing I wanted to say was the waistcoat, dapper man. And, people say, you always, dress dapperly and this, that and the other. And I always think back to, say, 100 years ago, 1930s, let's say. And you see these pictures of the old labourers, the farm labourers in the fields. Waistcoat, shirt, tie, looking at a cap, looking smart on the land. When the land was a place full of people, when people worked the land with their hands and they dug ditches and clipped hedges and pulled up manwurzels? Are they called manwurzels? Mangolds. That's it. When the countryside was populated back in the sort of 1920s and 30s and beyond, further back, you'd just see people who would, even there, when nobody would see them, smartly dressed. They might have been scruffy and dirty, but they were smartly dressed. And it saddens me that we have, now you walk into town, any town, and everybody's, not everybody, clearly not everybody, but there's so many people who are scruffy or misshapen, and they don't look after themselves, and they don't have any self-respect. I want to say they don't have any pride, but we learn that pride is one of the deadly sins, isn't it? So it's not very good. But to be proud of something, I don't always go along with it, it's a bad thing. To be proud of where you live, I'm proud of this country, not everything about the country. I love the architecture of the late, Georgian, Victorian even, at medieval, the architecture, there wasn't even architecture. When people just build those timber frames, those Elizabethan houses, that beautiful architecture that was just put together with wooden pegs, beautiful beams of oak, and all of that. People keep telling me that many of those old wooden houses were made from the beams taken from ships. But that might be true. It might be true to some houses near the coast or near ports. But Oliver Rackham, an ecologist who I think is no longer with us. He's written extensively on woodland and trees and various things. Wonderful. If you want to read about English woodland and trees and ecology and that stuff, Oliver Rackham, really great books, really, really interesting. But one of them, I believe it was him, said that's a misnomer. That is an urban myth that all these old timber frames, I mean, there was hundreds of these timber frames, but they couldn't all been built out of ships. But everybody says it, oh yeah, that came out of an old decommissioned ship. Well, just think, if the ship is decommissioned, it must be either in a very rough state. So would those timbers be in any fit state, salty and, you know, would they actually be in there? And if there was anything salvageable, the timber would probably go into part of another ship. A smaller ship, not another, you know, a ship of a smaller size or a lesser quality, if it was decommissioned. But yeah. So anyway, that's just a little tidbit. But people always say it. Oh yes, that one. You could tell. But actually, those timber framed houses, they did come a bit like as if you'd bought it from IKEA. They came in kit form. Either they would be made there and then on site, but inevitably those oaks had to be found and they had to be fashioned and chopped and moved and all the rest of it. And it's far easier to get an oak tree and take the bark off and then season it as much as... Well, a lot of them were green, they were green built. But to chop them into shape and then put them on a wagon and take them to the house, rather than take the whole tree to the house and try and work on it there. Plus, you'd need a saw pit and everything. But the markings on them very often are the little code that the builder has marked on to know which bit goes where, because he's got it up here in his noggin, how it all goes together. Anyway, yeah, I love those old pictures of people, those old work people, the labourers of the land, all looking smart. Why do we not do that? Why are we not? Why have we degenerated into sloppy, you know, lumps of blubber walking about with hanging T-shirts down here and untucked in shirts? I don't mean people have got to be fashionable. And of course, people can do what they damn well like. It's what I say is of absolute no consequence whatsoever. People don't have to listen to me at all. It's my own personal wish that when you look at the pictures in the 1940s, for example, people were slimmer because they couldn't just eat all this crap that you can eat today, and they were healthier. They'd been through in the 1940s, they were going through rationing, weren't they? And they were growing their own, and they wasn't all the kind of foods we have today. But look at the clothes. They wore hats. I love wearing hats. Not wearing one here. Actually, somebody said, could I wear a hat in one of my videos to prove I wasn't AI? I think that was for my other channel. So I can't prove I'm not AI today. I'm sorry about that. I probably am. This is a nice, gentle smoke. Bijou. If anyone knows, I wouldn't mind buying this again. It's not a strong one, but I would buy this again. If anyone knows what it is, please put it in the comments and let me know, or send me an email or whatever, or buy me a tin of it. This was the little 25-gram pouch, you know, if you fancy supporting an old pipe smoker. You'd be very welcome. I'll show it on the show. I'll smoke it for you, so you don't have to. Cool. Is that a count amount as begging? Well, the way I look at it is, you see, when I started out, I used to busk, juggling, unicycling, fire eating, lying on a bed of nails, riding I said unicycling, didn't I? Stilt walking, mime, robotics, all this sort of stuff. Excuse me. I did it in the street. And people would throw money. Sometimes they would throw rocks. But now I'm busking on the internet. This channel's not monetized. Neither is my other channel. So at the moment, so I'm hoping that when I get the pipe book, by the way, I have been writing the pipe, but been a bit busy this week, so I haven't done a lot, but it is coming to shape, these little stories. I hope you're going to enjoy it. So I appreciate that. I've still got to do some research. I need to have a good chat with Chris about pipe production. But I haven't got a passport, you see, otherwise I'd nip over there and see him and watch him do it, but I haven't got a passport, so I might have to have a Zoom thing with him and say, would you mind a couple of hours of just showing me what you do on Zoom privately, and in terms of for my writing, for research. He may not be up for that, he may say, sod off, Richard. Just buy more of my pipes, and maybe I will. I may do that. I just need to get my book sold. This is such a good pipe, though. I do like Chris. I think he's great. I like Father John. I haven't been watching very much, actually, on the pipe scene. Piper X1X, I watch him from time to time. He gets so many amazing gifts. I'm sort of, flabbergasted, really. People are so nice, though, aren't they? They're so generous. I think that was about it, really, today. It's late. I've come in, I've looked after Julia briefly and helped her round the house and sort of, dolped her up with love and kisses and things. And come back here. It's quite late now, but I wanted to get this done for tomorrow morning, so I've got to still go and edit this, or at least upload it and do a thumbnail. There's not very much to it. Put the lights away. So thank you so much. Somebody said, Richard, could you do more of your pipe smoking videos? I really enjoy it. And that's such a nice thing that somebody said. I did think I might be able to do one more in the week on a Wednesday or something, but let me know if you want more of this waffle. There's no real point to it other than it's just having a chat with some mates, isn't it? You've come into my kitchen, I've lit the SE, I would have given you a beer or a cup of tea or some raw milk, whatever I'm drinking, and a bowlful. And that's it. We're just sort of sharing the moment. And it's all about the moment, isn't it? Check out Father John on a Parsons Progress. Check out him for the Zen moment. Always good, always good. Anyway, take care, look after yourself, and happy piping. Till next time, toodle pip. Oh, that was my Zen moment. Take care, bye-bye.